the Psalter, a seemingly random collection of thoughts and prayers and songs, but it's anything but. The Psalter is a collection of 150 individual poems spanning decades organized into the retelling of Israelite history. And the more you read it, the more you realize how masterfully crafted they are in telling of a trajectory, a framework for how not only the Israelites understand God, but how we can too. Now we're going to drink from a fire hose this morning, so let's just jump into it. Scholars divide the Psalms into two major categories, and then there's some minor ones. Well, let's start with the majors. You're either reading a psalm of praise or a song of lament, and each can either be individual or communal. The individual praises have a singular voice, like Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. The communal hymns of praise, they're different. They speak from the collective voice of Israel, like Psalm 33. You get key phrases like, rejoice in the Lord, all you righteous. Our soul waits for the Lord. He is our help and shield. Our hearts are glad in him. The Psalter is chock full of these strophes of praise, and they're singular but also communal, but not all of them. That second major type of psalm is one of lament. These hymns speak to the tragedy and the plight of God's people. They hold deep emotional pain and show us it's okay to carry our burdens and troubles to God. These hymns remind us that we don't have to placate our fears or mask our frustration, not in worship. We can carry them to God in prayer. And I think lament is one of the most therapeutic offerings that the Bible gives to us today. And just listen to this communal lament from Psalm 12. This is verses 1 through 3. Help, O Lord, for there is no longer anyone who is godly. The faithful have disappeared from humankind. They utter lies to each other. With flattering lips and doable hearts they speak. May the Lord cut off all faltering lips, the tongue that makes great boasts. And then there's this individual lament from Psalm 6, where we get lines like this. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, or discipline me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am languishing. O Lord, heal me, for my soul is also struck with terror. Turn, O Lord, save my life. These major praise and lament themes, they make up almost 2/3 of the entire Psalter. So you need to know about them. But there are also some minor ones too, like the royal psalm. These speak of the Lord's provisions from the Israelite kings, David and Solomon, who reigned in Jerusalem during the monarchy. Take Psalm 21, this is verses 1 and 2. In your strength the king rejoices, O Lord, and in your help how greatly he exults. You have given him his heart's desire and have not withheld the request of his lips. This psalm, it blesses the kingship of David and gives God the praise for David's courage and leadership. But then there are other psalms, like creation psalms. Psalm 8, 3 and 4. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, what are humans that you are mindful of them, mortals that you care for them? These creation psalms, they celebrate God's sovereignty over the created world and the special place that human beings have within it. There's a third minor psalm that we call wisdom psalms. They provide instructions on right living and right faith, like the very first psalm, Psalm 1, verses 1 and 2. Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or take the path of the sinner's tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers, but their delight is in the law of the Lord. Finally, there are enthronement psalms that celebrate the Lord as our rightful king. These psalms are what the trajectory of the whole Psalter points us to. All 150 psalms move us to a future reign of God as king. Take Psalm 99, verses 1 through 3. The Lord is king. Let the people tremble. He sits enthroned on the cherubim. The earth quakes. He is exalted over all people. Let them praise your great and awesome name. Holy is he. Each of these types of psalms need our attention. They each give us an entry point into speaking and singing and praising God. N.T. Wright calls them road signs to the eternal. They help point us to God. They show us a roadmap for what was important to Israel, but they give us insight into their pains and joys in life too. They peel back the curtain and give entry points into the communal thoughts of Israel. So each week we're going to hone in on one of these entry points. We'll learn how they enhance our spiritual approach to God. The Psalter offers us a tool belt for how we can shape our thoughts to God, individual and communal. And what you'll see this summer is that this songbook is still amazingly relevant, even today. And honestly, if this was all we knew about the Psalter, that would be cool in and of itself. We could just stop the sermon here. But there's so much more. There's also another story being told. The Psalter is collected into 5 books. Each collection speaks to the pains and joys of the Israelites. And the order of these collections, that's what's so fascinating. It's a history lesson of Israel. And each collection ends with a doxology. Those doxologies move the conversation forward. Book 1 is Psalm 1 through 41. And it's the golden age of the Israelites. It's the coming of age of King David. David's mastering his craft and learning how to be a man after God's own heart. Book 1 is full of uplifting thoughts from King David, like Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." And others like, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. To you, O Lord, I lift my soul. In you, O Lord, I seek refuge. I will extol you, O Lord. I will bless the Lord at all times." You could just hear King David's uplifting spiritual tone. He's searching after a God who blesses and cares, which is because these are all written during the pre-exile period when the Israelites were winning. Psalm 41:13, though, is the doxology. "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. Amen and amen." But that's not the end. It soon changes. Book 2 is not uplifting. Psalms 42 through 71 are full of lament from and with and both about David and the community. It opens like this, Psalm 42. "My soul longs, my soul thirsts for the living God. When shall I come and behold the face of God? My tears have been my food day and night, while people say to me, 'Where is your God?'" That's a big jump from Psalm 41 to 42. And then Psalm 43 doesn't get any better. "Vindicate me, O God. Defend my cause against an ungodly people, from those where deceitful and unjust. Deliver me." In Book 2, the tone completely shifts. The urgency is on how things are falling apart, how things must course correct. This book is written during the Babylonian Wars, and the Israelites are struggling, and they eventually get sacked and become captive to Babylon. So now we enter Book 3, Babylonian captivity. These are Psalms 73 to 89. It's where we get words like this: "Oh God, why have you cast us off forever? Why does your anger make against the sheep of your pasture?" That's Psalm 74:1. And then you get Psalm 83, 3 through 5. They, meaning Babylon, lay crafty plans against your people. They consult together against those you protect. They say, come, let us wipe them out as a nation. Let the name of Israel be remembered no more. They conspire with one accord. Against you, they make a covenant. Book 3 is deeply gutted with pain, regret, sorrow, and lament, and it's full of both individual and communal laments. Yet even in the midst of deep pain, though, Book 3 is where we get Psalm 84. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord, for one day in your courts is better than 1,000 elsewhere. Psalms like Psalm 84 remind us that even when we're in the face of fear, God will be faithful. Even in the face of uncertainty, God will be here. You can start to see the arc now, and it gets even clearer when we get to Book 4, Psalms 90 to 106. This was written after the fall of Israel, and the collective consciousness of the Israelites are wrestling with the fact that David's kingship didn't last. The temple didn't last. The land of milk and honey didn't last. But God's new kingdom will, and it's coming. Book 4 is where you get words like this in Psalm 93. I will sing to the Lord as long as I live, for the Lord is king. He is robed in majesty. There's a categorical shift in language with Book 4. The kings of the earth pale in comparison to the kingship of God. Book 4 is where we start to get our enthronement hymns, reminding us that earthly kingdoms, they're all going to fail, but God's kingdom will reign victorious. And this is a very important distinction. In Book 4, David isn't the long-awaited king. The Lord is. The God of the universe is. And then finally, we end with Book 5, Psalms 107 to 150. It's all about our response to God's throne. The tone changes yet again from what God has done for Israel and what God is coming to do for humankind. Book 5 is future-oriented. And this is why the Psalter matters to us Christians today. We're people who look into the future, and we believe in our bones, in our spirit, that despite our fears, God's kingdom is still coming. Despite our trials, God's future is arriving. And one day in this new court will be better than 1,000 elsewhere. This is what the Psalter gives to all of us. It's an historical theology that stares into the face of fear and says, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. And this is what speaks to us today. Israel is saying, even in our hard times, we give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. Even in the face of their evil, they say we give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. And this is still the refrain for us today. We give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. So say it out loud. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. One more time. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. The Psalter is where we find the resolve, the posture, the faith to say, no matter what, I'll give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever.